What will not happen is for any business to give orders and to dictate what should happen, because that space is the space that is occupied by people who have been elected by the people of South Africa. Business is not elected. People who are in Parliament are the ones who've been elected to represent who? The views of everyone, including the views of business people in the country. So the extent to which we cooperate with business must be understood to be a process and a relationship of cooperating to take the country forward and not to dictate to one another. And that we will never allow. We are only dictated to by the people of South Africa. Finish and clear. That's all. That's where it starts and that is where it ends.
The political landscape has been set by ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa that big business will not dictate political terms in the country. Ramaphosa has put his foot down that big business representatives won't dictate the political trajectory of the country as they are not elected. Big business representatives wrote a letter to Ramaphosa and DA leader John Steenhuisen on their unhappiness on the perceived end of the working relationship between the two parties.
A number of business people have written a letter to both myself and John Steenhuisen, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, and I can say that business does not dictate what happens. One in government does not dictate what happens in the ANC that I lead. We take our own decisions based on our considerations of everything that will advance the interests of our people. But of course, like any other citizen, they are entitled, as any citizen is entitled, to express their views, their wishes and their fears. And all of us here as South Africans, we have views and fears and aspirations, so they too are entitled to do so. But in the end, I want it to be clear that the ANC will not be influenced by what business says. We are principally influenced by what our people say. And so we are not under pressure from business or whoever. If we are under any pressure, it is pressure that comes from our people, and our people as a whole, not only ANC members. And the pressure that comes from our people is about poverty, it's about inequality and unemployment. And those are the issues that influence our decisions. And so therefore we have to heed what our people are saying.
The party's national officials, National Working Committee, will deliberate on the failure of the DA to support the fiscal framework of the country and budget. Some ANC national officials and NEC members are calling for an end of the ANC and DA working relationship in government. Questions have been raised on how the DA can preside over a budget they didn't vote for.
No, it did come up as I was telling them about some of the challenges that we have faced in, say, adopting the budget. And I informed them that the National Executive Committee is the one that is going to discuss precisely what the ANC now needs to do as we deal with these challenges, where a number of parties, particularly also parties that are part of the GNU at national level, have voted against the budget. So that matter, I said to them, will be discussed by the NEC, and they accepted that. So that's precisely the path that we are on. The National Executive Committee will discuss the matter after the NWC will have discussed the matter, and I hope you don't get a leak in between that meeting and the meeting of the NEC. Precisely how the parties deported themselves in the whole process of arriving at a budget. So I'd like to say to South Africans, this is a moment of great consideration for the developments that have happened, and it's important that those who are going to be discussing this matter should be given space and time to be able to examine everything, because taking decisions based on emotions can actually be detrimental to the interests of the country. So we need to muscle up our own powers of analysis to analyze this properly and to look at all angles, the disadvantages and disadvantages, and thereafter be able to take clear decisions on the way forward.
The ANC says it will not be dictated to by big business and conglomerates on the relationship of the government of national unity between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, what is pretty much icy at this point in time. Turbulence is hitting that particular relationship after the DA refused to vote for the fiscal framework of the budget of the country, thus defining itself outside of the government of national unity. The ANC's national officials, the NWC, National Working Committee, and ultimately the National Executive Committee will decide on the future of the government of national unity, in particular that of the Democratic Alliance. But the president of the ANC is very much irked by big business within the country on that letter they wrote to him and to John Steenhuisen. Samkele Masego, SABC News, Johannesburg.